Well, good afternoon. A very warm welcome to Namur for the start of the Men's World Cup Cyclo-Cross, the fourth round of this series. Here's the course, the same as the women's course that they have just raced on. 2.5 kilometres, that tough start, straight off the cobbles onto mud and rock, all the way up to the top of the climb, up by the castle. It's going to be a very, very tough race, as it is normally. The weather conditions have not changed. If anything, it's got a little bit colder. The wind maybe has dropped just a small amount compared to the women's race. Here's the World Cup standings then after Milton Keynes. A fantastic round just a few weeks ago. Kevin Powles is now the leader, ahead of Klaas van Ternut. Those two riders, of course, rode so well in Milton Keynes. Korn van Kessel in third place. The Dutch rider Musen in fourth. Val Sleben in fifth, who was second in the World Cup last year. And the defending champion Lars van der Haar in sixth place. So the start list of today, 63 riders taken to the start, 17 nations are represented. And one notable exception is that Sven Nys will not take to the start of today's race. He rode yesterday in Essen, and he did not enjoy the experience again of not producing a strong result. He has gone away to work out what it is that is going on with his form so far this season. Have a little bit of a break and then hopefully come back fighting. We'll see the rider who we have seen dominate so many World Cups and World Championships, of course, hopefully come back stronger. Well, the crowds are out in force, getting ready to cheer these riders on. And here are the previous winners here in Namur. Sven Nys was the winner in 2011. And last year's event, you may well remember it if you're a big fan of cyclocross. It was the Frenchman Francis Moret who won ahead of Klaas van Ternut. Niels Albert, now retired, in third place. Albert had that heart problem that many had to retire early. Sven Nys was in fourth. There is last year's winner. Lars van der Haar in fifth and Tom Musen in sixth place in last year's race. So the jackets are being taken off. There is Ties van Amerongen alongside Francis Moret, the national champion. There is Rob Peters, third in Essen yesterday. There is Lars van der Haar getting ready for action. There is Tom Musen. Alongside him is the World Cup leader. They're wearing number 10 in the white kit, Kevin Powles. And there is Philip Val Sleben, the guy who we always see with a strong start to the race. There we are. Number 45 is Jeremy Powers, the national champion of the United States of America. Smile from him as he gets ready for racing over there on the left-hand side. The red lights are on, and any moment now, this race will be underway. So the crowd then get this race started. The lights go to green, and then it is a big sprint. This is a furious uphill, full lactic effort all the way to the top of this climb. And at the head of the race, Tom Musen is the leader as they go uphill. So we'll see who is leading. I just saw a glimpse there of the Australian rider Gary Milburn in his first World Cup cyclocross. He's come straight from Sydney to come over here. And we'll see who is at the front of this race now as they make their way onto the mud. It was Marcel Waldhaber, who rides for the Scott team, who was the leader. There's a little bit of shouting through there. Oh, one rider fell. That was Radomir Simunek in the yellow and red. But at the front now, a couple of riders starting to exert their influence a little bit on the front of this race. Lars van der Haar at the front. Also, here is a look at Radomir Simunek as he hits the deck there. And into these little drop-offs, these technical sections that you really have to get right. You don't want to end up in the netting. Philip Valsleben not having his usual very fast start. There is the World Cup leader in the white. Kevin Powell's making his way along that track. First in Milton Keynes, second in Valkenburg, second in Koksijde. So the pace being set at the front by Marcel Wildhaber. We've seen him do this before. And this course, as many of you have said, as you've sent me some little bits of information, very much a mountain biker's course. And there is Lars van der Haar as he goes through. And wearing number 22 was Ties van Amerongen. And at the front there, you can see the Scott rider just leading through that turn, which is very, very tight. Lars van der Haar wearing number 21 and going out on the course. As they go along here, van der Haar now tracking his way. And he is looking pretty better than he did a couple of weeks ago. I saw van der Haar just before the start. And he looks a lot more healthy than he did a couple of weeks ago in Milton Keynes. Of course, he'd been on antibiotics for a few days. He'd been feeling really under the weather. But van der Haar now starting to look stronger all the time as he has got that little bit more sprightly look about him today. Going down that descent, if he can get to the front of this race with no technical problems this time, then who's to say van der Haar couldn't win? Right, still the same rider. And now the leader. Look at that. You've just got to track your way across. There's a few people disagreeing that it's a mountain bike course and it could be a road course as well. There we go. Well, Katarina Nash is a good mountain biker. And she looked fantastic in that race then. There's a lot of talk now about her possibility of her winning the World Championships now in Tabor. Clearly that is what she's been aiming at and training for. But these two riders now running their way up this climb. And it is Wildhaber at the front. And he is being tracked there by the German rider in second place. And that is Sascha Weber, who is following, I think, in second place there. The crowd really in here, cheering these riders on. There is Kevin Powell wearing number 10. And you can see here with this magnificent shot, lots of fans all crowded down in this area. In fact, around the rest of the course, it's pretty quiet because everyone wants to be in this little section because you see the riders a few times. Sascha Weber there in the green in second place. You just have to measure your effort up here. And they're shouting these riders on. Van der Haar picking his way. There is Francis Moret, who is in there in the French champions' colours. who, do you remember last year? He thinks he was the rider who just picked his way through and eventually hit the front. Sometimes we've seen Francis Moret go out and try and lead and attack everybody else, and on that occasion he really used his head. So at the front then, just to remind you, it's Wildhaber of Switzerland at the front of the race. Sascha Weber in second place. Looks like Tom Musen is up in third place now. Korn van Kessel in fourth. I was talking to Korn van Kessel just before the start of the race. He rides, of course, for the Telenet Fedea team, one of the Dutch riders. Gave me, he said he was thinking that he was going to probably put 1.4 to 1.5 bar in his tyres. He was just hoping to hold on here to his third place overall in the World Cup. And then next week in Zolder, the course suits him much more, and he hoped to try and move his way into second place in the World Cup. So today for him was more about damage limitation, but right now the damage is being firmly limited because he is up towards the front. Well, thanks to all of you for joining me. You can tweet me at @McCrossan if you would like to, as we see these riders make their way across the line to complete the first lap. And the opening lap was 7 minutes and 21 seconds. Just to give you a comparison, the women opened up with an 8:36 of their first lap, so 1 minute and 15 seconds quicker is the men's opening first lap, and the front of the race looks like this. Marcel Wildhaber is the leader, followed by Sascha Weber there in the green. Across the line in first and second place, toying with first and second. Korn van Kessel was third. Tom Musen, Philip Valsleben, Rob Peters is the rider in the orange and black from the Golden Palace team. Rob Peters riding well at the moment. Kevin Powell's the World Cup leader in seventh. Francis Moret in eighth. Lars van der Haar in ninth. Fabian Canal in 10th place. That's the current top 10 placings. Only right now 8 seconds separating those riders as they went across the line for the first time. In terms of questions on equipment, you'll notice last time in the women's race how many of the women were on the disc brakes. Thanks to Simon Burney again, actually the promoter of Milton Keynes, for giving me that little bit more insight into his thoughts on disc brakes. That there's a benefit to using them on this course. And what Simon doesn't know technically about cyclocross probably isn't worth knowing, really. But you notice here, if you look through how many of the men are on discs, there's not too many in the front of this race right now who are on disc brakes. Sascha Weber, the first rider through that corner in the green. Wildhaber is riding well. There is Rob Peters. Now, yesterday we were in Essen for the cyclocross, and the race was won by the under-23 rider Wout van Aert. He beat Tom Musen into second place. Rob Peters was in third. Kevin Powell's in fourth. Valsleben in fifth. And Vermeersch was in sixth place. Well, Kevin Powell looks to have everything calmed down a little bit now. And he is back firmly in that front group. And just going through the split point, this is the top 10. Wildhaber first, Van Kessel now in second, Sascha Weber in third, Tom Musen in fourth, followed by Lars van der Haar. Behind them, Val Slaben. Behind them, Rob Peters, Kevin Powles, Francis Moray. And now Vitsi Bosmans is the rider who has made his way into the top 10. Lovely sound as they go racing through the mud with a little bit of rock in it as well. Being reminded that Wildhaber had that good ride in the National Trophy event, which was day 2 of the Milton Keynes Cyclo-Cross. Looking like he's on some better form now. And now the race being taken on a little bit. And it looks like Van Kessel is thinking about going to the front of this race now. And that kind of black and white kit that you might be seeing at the back of the string is the French Army team, talking a little bit about being more of a next level up. And for those of you asking about Kevin Powles and his kit, he's in the World Cup Leaders kit this time, of course. He's in the all-white compared to his normal team colours that you would normally expect him to see. The Sunweb Napoleon Games team, which is kind of that white kit with black and a little bit of yellow and red on it. This time he's all in white, as the World Cup leader always is. There is Francis Moray going through the picture. He's pretty consistent through there. He hasn't made any big moves yet. And still we're seeing the front of the race being maintained by Sascha Weber in the green. Lars van der Haar, wearing number 21 then. Van der Haar, 4th in Milton Keynes, 1st in Valkenburg, the defending champion of the World Cup. And there is Kevin Powles, taking a little bit of a different line round that corner. And also losing a lot of momentum as he went round that turn. Well, the crowd urging these riders on as they go uphill. Well, Sascha Weber, we've already had not a surprise winner of the women's race because she's won a World Cup before, but a rider that we were naming as a possible top 6 finisher. But I think the person that a lot of people thought would win the women's race was Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. But now we're seeing this rider going right out on the attack. So are we going to get 2 names on the World Cup podium that we perhaps weren't putting down as absolute definites at the start of the race? Number 40 leads the race then. Sascha Weber of Germany rides for Varane Classic Dolcini. I saw him warming up earlier on today, really, really early. I was here at 8 o'clock, or maybe about 8:30 this morning. It's now 3:15. And around about 10 o'clock, Sascha Weber was already on his rollers, on his turbo, getting himself warmed up. Then he went out on the course, as all these riders do. Through the pits then. Weber leads, throws his glasses, takes a clean bike, followed by Val Slaben. Behind him is number 23, and that is Korn van Kessel, 3rd in the World Cup. And now they all look around at each other. This pace is pretty relentless. Korn van Kessel having a little bit of conversation there with the rest of the riders. And just to update you, that lap was a 7:44 lap, which is 23 seconds slower than the lap before. But bear in mind that the second lap is a little bit longer. And that's in comparison to an 8:51 that the women rode. So 1 minute and 7 seconds faster for the men on that lap. Lars van der Haar goes through the camera shot there. Having to work so hard up this climb. You're in full out lactic by the top. Vitsi Bowmans was the rider we just saw there in the BKCP kit. But these riders pretty much strung together now. And yet again it is World Harbour who goes to the front to try and set the tempo. Can hear the screeching of the brakes through that corner. Just having a little look to see who is on disc brakes as they make their way through the area there. You don't see many of them, do you, here in this race? Right on the front, it's World Harbour who tracks his way down that drop-off. A little bit of screeching of the brakes as Kevin Powles makes his way out and accelerates hard up past the inflatable washing machine. So it's still anybody's World Cup, really. Powles is the leader. Van der Noot, who was second in Milton Keynes, fourth in Valkenburg, fifth in Kokstede, is in second. Van Kessel in third. Musen in fourth. Valsleben in fifth. Lars van der Haar in sixth place. A little bit of a problem there for Thies van Amerongen as he gets caught and overtaken by Thomas Prapska there in the orange and white. And just having a look to see what actually happened there. Did he go over the handlebars? Yep, pretty much. If you get that drop-off wrong, then you have major, major problems. That shook him up. So apologies to those of you who are messaging about the audio just being commentary only. We'll get the guys in the technical bit to try and do that while I'm talking. So my apologies if you're not getting any of the crowd atmosphere at all. See whether we can fix that. I think one of the riders' kids is sat right next to that ambient camera as he gives that little bit of encouragement to Daddy as he goes racing past. So still on the front then as we make our way up the climb. It is the Scot rider, World Harbour, who is on the front of the race. So the two riders then at the front now making a little bit of an attack, and Lars van der Haar is having to try and react to that because the Telenet Fidea riders are trying to make a move. Oh, look at that. A fantastic move by Tom Musen as they put in a massive turn there at the front. A double-pronged attack by Telenet Fidea. Tom Musen is the rider who puts in the big turn. And Lars van der Haar now having to react very quickly to that. He was a little bit further back. Lars van der Haar will try and go with it, but the Telenet Fidea riders really now putting the pressure on. Very impressive indeed. And it was Tom Musen who was the rider on the front, 4th in the World Cup, 2nd in Essen yesterday. Certainly is on form right now. Who's now trying to take a bit of a march on everybody else. In the last few weeks, Tom Musen's been 3rd in Antwerp, 3rd in Mol over the weekend of the 13th and 14th of December. He won Overijse in the 7th of December. He was 3rd in Hasselt. He's been so consistent all season. And Tom Musen now trying to break away to win this World Cup. Well, Tom Musen now has a little bit of an advantage. And his advantage is on one of his teammates. Korn van Kessel in 2nd place. He made a little bit of a technical error as he tried to go with the attack of Tom Musen. So the Belgian rider now has the head of the race. Well, Tom Musen right now is building his advantage. As they go through the pits area, and Tom Musen decides not to take a bike this time. Valsleben does. Behind him, Korn van Kessel does take a bike. So does Wildhaber. Lars van der Haar takes a bike as well. And Francis Moret is a little bit further back. 6 laps of racing to go. The lap time that time for Tom Musen is 7:25. So let's run through them then for you. Tom Musen leads. Philip Valsleben is in 2nd place. Korn van Kessel in 3rd. Wildhaber in 4th. Van der Haar in 5th place. Rob Peters in 6th. Kevin Powles in 7th. Sasha Weber in 8th. Moret in 9th at 23 seconds. And Van der Haar now puts in a huge attack going up that climb. Well, I know he's been a little bit concerned after being on antibiotics and feeling unwell for quite a few weeks. But right now, he is trying to go across, and Tom Musen, look at that. You can see him as he tries to recover over the top of the climb then. You can see him gulping in the oxygen. I tell you, it's so cold at the top of this climb. Someone's just asked me, is Ian Field riding today? He is riding today. But right now, in terms of his placing, I'll just give you some other updates. Jeremy Powers, for American fans, is 18th overall right now. Ian Field is racing 34th, not having as good a day as he had in Milton Keynes, the rider who rides for Hargroves, the British champion. Jeremy Powers, the top-placed American rider, in 18th place. Just to update you on some other nationalities. Also, other American riders, just to walk through. So Ian Fielder mentioned the first Italian rider is riding around about 43rd place. And that will be, I think, by the looks of things, will be Marco Bianco, around about 45th, 47th place. But these two riders now are certainly starting to break away from the rest of the field. A leading duo at the front of this World Cup with 6 laps to go. Tom Musen at the front, Lars van der Haar in second place. Being chased now by Kevin Powles as they go downhill very fast. It's great to see Lars van der Haar back on form again. He's had a little bit of a testing few weeks. I saw him just before the start when I was chatting to Marianne Vos. He came around and he seemed to be on really good form, joking away with Marianne Vos. As they go uphill again, and Tom Musen now onto the drop-off. Van der Haar goes with him. You'll notice that Van der Haar is on the disc brakes, sitting there in second place. And Kevin Powles now trying to make his way across to those leaders, being tracked by Corten van Kessel. And Van Kessel will be pretty happy with this, as Kevin Powles makes a little bit of a mistake. Because right now, Van Kessel could be making his way into second overall in this World Cup. Van der Haar is a little bit further back that time. Kevin Powles now recovers from that little mistake. Let's just have a look. Kevin Powles there, the back wheel just kicked out as he went over that rut. And now Van der Haar, well, it shows that he's got the that little effort that he put in earlier, pretty big effort that he put in earlier on, shows that he's got the power back in the legs to put in a big effort towards the finish and get rid of any other riders. Van der Haar over the last few weeks, just to give you an idea, I mean, his performances, he hasn't really figured at all in any of the major big races for quite a few weeks. His last big result was probably 6th of December in Hasselt. He was in 5th place behind Sven Nys. Powles was the winner that day. Van der Haar was 6th in the Flandrian Cross on the 30th of November. And of course, in Milton Keynes, he was 4th overall. Those of you who are Ian Field fans from Great Britain, Annie Simpson thinks he's got her cold now, which is not good. So we'll see if we catch a glimpse of him. I know I've got so many of you are different fans of different nations and different riders, so we like to give you as much information as we possibly can. The first Australian World Cup rider, Gary Milburn, is now tracking 55th place at the moment. He's about 4 minutes down on the rest of the on the leaders. And of course, we have Yu Takenuchi of Japan, who is tracking in 54th place. And the Canadian rider Mark McConnell is in 56th place. Just to give you that update on the different nationalities, because we have 17 different nationalities represented. But back here at the front, and the leader is still Tom Musen. Lars van der Haar there in second place. Musen just opening up a little bit of an advantage as they go through the pits area. Over on the right-hand side there, you can see the camper vans where they are all laid out. All the elite riders are parked in that area. The fans can just wander around. All the kids were getting postcards earlier on too. But over the line again this time. 4 laps completed, 5 laps to go. The average speed just over 20 kilometers an hour at that time. And Tom Musen, 7 minutes 28 seconds was his lap time, which is his second fastest time of the 3 big laps that we have seen so far today. Lars van der Haar then. Just noticed that Lars has got a little bit of taping on his left leg. There is Francis Moret, who is now tracking round here in 10th place. He's 50 seconds down, so he's not going to have right now a repeat of last year's big win. Tom Musen goes downhill round that corner. And the next riders to cross the line now. There at the front of that little group was number 20, Gianni Vermeesch of the Sunweb Napoleon Games team. Meanwhile, at the front, Tom Musen maintains his attack. And now Kevin Pauwels has made his way into second place. Lars van der Haar in third place now. He's having a little bit of a yo-yo from the front of the race to second, third, fourth place today. Kevin Pauwels has taken a little bit of time to get going today. Win in Milton Keynes, second in Valkenburg, second in Koksijde, and right now second in Namur. A consistent series of races for Kevin Pauwels. Down across the road. Now they track their way along here. One of the flat bits of the course before they swoop around. And Lars van der Haar looks like he's just going to use Kevin Pauwels. I don't know what happened there, though. Van der Haar had to go to the right-hand side. And now he's having to sprint hard to get back onto the wheel. He looked like he was just using the wheel of Kevin Pauwels to come back to the front of the race. And now we have 3 riders. And Van der Haar has got a little bit of strapping on that left calf. And immediately he goes to the front. Tailwind section before they swoop back round. Very, very tight little corner there. And Van der Haar leads as they go past the pits again. And in fourth place is Corne van Kessel, wearing number 23. Van der Haar goes plunging downhill, to the delight of the crowd. Lovely shot, the camera right in the mud. Van Kessel goes past us there. And there is Valsleben making a few little mistakes almost, as he had to take the foot right out of the pedal to lean over. So up the steep section with these leaders of this UCI World Cup Cyclo-Cross. Van der Haar now has the front of the race. The Dutch champion looking good today. Is he going to bring home the win that he wants to just get that morale back on track before the run into Christmas, and then out of it into the final bits of the World Cup and the World Championships? Look at Van der Haar having to concentrate. Such a difficult section, this. Adverse camber, different rutted sections, and you have to stay as high as you possibly can to just try and track your way along there. And if you stay low, you have a real problem in staying away from that netting on the right-hand side of the screen as we look. Philip Valsleben now managing to do it, just tracking his way through there, very close to the crowd. There is Rob Peters in the orange as he goes past. Meanwhile, back at the front, and Lars van der Haar's trying to put in a little bit more pressure if he can. Number 13, not too lucky for Rob Peters today. But through the last split, it was Van der Haar who led. It was Kevin Powles at 1 second, Tom Musen at 2, Corne van Kessel at 5, Val Slaben at 14, Rob Peters at 24. And then the riders who animated the race at the beginning, Marcel Wildhaber was in 7th at 29, Sascha Weber in 8th at 36 seconds. Downhill, and Van der Haar leans the bike over and gets through that corner nice and easily. Here's our early leader. We just caught a glimpse of him then, as Van der Haar now accelerates across this section. It's dried out a lot. So you're able to get a nice line. Francis Moret just looking now to hold on and keep in the top 10 places. The closest challenger to him is his countryman, Fabien Canal, who was in 11th place. But it's still an intriguing competition between these front four now, as Van der Haar went on the move again, just out of sight of the camera. A little bit of rain maybe starting to fall out here. In fact, it is. And that is going to change this course a little bit. The attack on the right-hand side as we look in the yellow from Tom Musen as he goes through the pits. And Van der Haar being put under a little bit of pressure there. So he gets onto the bike quickly. Kevin Powles makes it look very, very easy. But this time, Tom Musen is going to really put the pressure on, and we'll see what sort of lap time he does this time. 4 leaders with 4 laps to go, and that was a 7 minutes 39 lap. And the 4 leaders, Tom Musen, Lars Van der Haar, Corne van Kessel, Kevin Powles, and this man in 5th place, 11 seconds down. Well, that was the 3rd fastest time of the 4 laps we've seen on the long lap. The fastest lap on that lap is 7:25, 7:28 is second, 7:39, then 7:44, which was the second lap. The fastest lap we've seen is a 7:21, but it's slightly shorter. The start line is further on down the hill. But Van der Haar puts in a big acceleration over the top of the climb to see whether he can rid himself of the rest of the field. The answer is he's putting these 2 riders into a little bit of pressure, and Kevin Powles made almost a little bit of mistake there. Van der Haar, as the rain falls, doesn't make any error whatsoever, and he goes and accelerates hard out of that corner. Well, thank you to all of you for joining me, for all your messages at Ant McCrossan. Very much appreciated. All your insights, your thoughts, who you think's going to win. The fact that you're all just out there watching and joining us for a muddy cyclo-cross here in Namur. It's the coldest one we've had so far. Absolutely freezing here today. But the frites are here, the mayonnaise, the beer is flowing, the fans are enjoying themselves, and Lars Van der Haar is right back on form as he goes tracking his way through that corner, and now he's starting to build his lead on the 2nd place rider and 3rd place rider. Suddenly, after that acceleration over the top of the climb, Van der Haar is opening a big advantage up on this field. Now, he's got that fluid pedaling style back, hasn't he? Where he just seems to coast his way along despite going so quick around what is an extremely tough course. And the cameras do not show you exactly what this is like. If you walk around this circuit right now, You are so out of breath. You see everyone stopping. It's so steep in so many different sections. You stand at the top of the drop-offs and you think, how are they riding down that? And how are they managing to brake to go around the corners at the bottom? Lars van der Haar goes past that camera. Very fast indeed. And it's Korn van Kessel and Kevin Powles who are the two riders who are chasing. Sorry not to see Sven Nys here. He's just not been on form in the last few weeks. And I'm sure Sven Nys will just want to get him back and racing. It's always a big thing when you have him in a race. Well, van der Haar now has got this advantage, and it looks like it's over 10 seconds on Korn van Kessel and Kevin Powles, Valsleben. And Tom Musen starting to fall back a little bit from the rest of the riders after that attack by Lars van der Haar over the top of the climb. So hard on the body, this sport. Valsleben, look at him just trying to lean the bike, lean himself, just not fall over. You could so easily just topple over to the left-hand side onto your left shoulder. Just the bike can just lose it totally as van der Haar goes back uphill again. So the big question is, where will Kevin Powles finish, bearing in mind he is the World Cup leader? But this advantage is growing, and it's growing fast. If we just glance down that hill now, those riders are just coming round the corner as van der Haar goes out of the climb now and is now making his way across the top. And Valsleben is now catching the two riders in front of him, and he's bringing Tom Musen back to the front as well. Round the right-hander, Valsleben trying to get back up there. Important for him. Lying 5th overall in this World Cup, was 2nd last year. Oh, and a crash there. And Korn van Kessel makes a mistake. And now he'll just have to hope his bike is all right. And he's trying to do his shoe up, so his shoe came undone. He's having to right his handlebars, and now he's sorting his brake levers out as well. Just sliding on what I said was a better section to ride. It's a little bit rocky through there now. And where it was muddy, the mud is now gone. You've got a little rocky single track. So now we have Kevin Powles riding away into 2nd place. Lars van der Haar through the pits area. Well, there's a few of you saying that you don't think the race is over yet, and you reckon that Kevin Powles will come back to the front. Let's see if that happens. Well, he's coming back through the line that time with 3 laps of racing to go. 2nd place is Kevin Powles at 7 seconds. In 3rd place, Valsleben. at 19 seconds. Kevin Powell's at 7 seconds. And just to give you an update, Lars van der Haar has just produced the fastest lap of the race so far, including the short laps, a time of 7 minutes and 19 seconds. The opening lap was 7:21 from the standing start, shorter lap 7:21. The previous fastest lap on the big circuit, without that little shortened bit, was 7:25. He has just gone 6 seconds faster than any of the previous fastest times out on the course. Kevin Powell's lap time was 7:26.
Bij de doortocht aan de aankomst is Paulus nog in het spoor om deze beeld te appreciëren. Daar zou een moeten gaan komen, daar komt Paulus door op beeld, maar later doet hij niet. Paulus heeft nog altijd dezelfde achterstand op Lars van der Haar dan voorheen.
So Van der Haar picking his way down through this drop-off, kicks the back wheel, look at that, he's got no one with him. So he doesn't have to worry, does he? Oops, there's a problem. Don't know what happened there. Jens Adams having a problem. He was 6th in Coxader, wasn't he? Looked like the mechanic kept hold of the bike or something, but I'm not sure. Maybe we'll see it again. So Lars van der Haar, the 23-year-old, comes from Amersfoort in the Netherlands. And since he progressed his cyclocross career, there's been no holding back. He's been the national under-23 champion on numerous occasions, 3 occasions in fact. He's been the world under-23 cyclocross champion as well. He's been the Dutch national champion at elite level for the last, 2 years. And many people see him as a role model for some of the youngsters. He has got a great training pedigree. The way he trains is apparently very, very hard. And his attitude, I must admit, whenever you see him at all the races, he knows that he's got certain things he needs to do in addition to being one of the top pros. He gives you insights, he gives you comments. He's always prepared to have a chat. I saw him at the start today, just all I had to say, because he'd just done one TV interview and he needed to go and see the course. Said, "How are you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm good." Rode off, and that was it. But previously, in all other rounds, he'll stand, he'll tell you everything, he'll give you an insight into the course, he'll tell you exactly what he thinks. Lars van der Haar leading now. 10 seconds, his advantage on Kevin Powell's. 23 on Philip Valsleben, 36 on Tom Musen as he goes down over this drop-off now that he's made look very, very simple. And just really kicking on the pedals. He's now 36 seconds ahead of Tom Musen, 1 minute and 8 seconds now ahead of Korn van Kessel, who was looking like he was going to come up with another big showing here, which would have really helped him in the World Cup. But after that problem, he's now 1 minute and 8 seconds down, so he's got a little bit of work to do. Further on down the course, 4th place, Tom Musen, wearing number 11. Look at the concentration on Philip Valsleben as we track back uphill with Lars van der Haar. Kevin Powell can still see him there. So tough on the body, this sport. Tom Musen leaning right over. It's almost acrobatic. And of course, Lars van der Haar did do gymnastics. It's helped him. Once he realised that cyclocross was for him, but he's got that athletic agility, hasn't he? As Kevin Powles now comes back to him. So it's taken Powles an entire lap to get back to Lars van der Haart, but he is getting there, and he's getting there steadily. He's almost on the back wheel. So whoever was that gave me the prediction of Kevin Powles winning this race, it's very possible he's going to. Now he's realised that Powles is there. Van der Haart using his road speed to try and accelerate a little bit. And Powles just tracking him. He's got the prey in his sights. He's coming back. A couple of you asking about Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel. They actually rode the Under-23 World Cup today, as we have a problem here for another one of the riders. That's Jens Adams again having a problem. So he had a problem in the pits. Now he's got a problem out on the course, tracking his way along there. Just to come back to Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel, as now Kevin Powles catches Lars van der Haart with the rain starting to fall a little bit more heavily. They rode the Under-23 World Cup. They can opt to ride either World Cup at Under-23 or at elite level, and they can switch back and forward as they want. Wout van Aert was the winner of the World Cup, but Mathieu van der Poel was the leader for a long time. Then he had a big crash on one of the drop-offs, and then he went backwards, ended up finishing, I think from memory, 3rd or 4th place. But Wout van Aert is on form. He won in Essen yesterday, but that was at elite level, and then he rode the Under-23 today, and he won that. So going across the line now with 2 laps to go. 7 minutes 29 for Kevin Powles that lap, and 7:37 was the lap time of Lars van der Haart. Further on back then, we're going to have Philip Valsleben, who's actually only now 13 seconds down with 2 laps of racing to go, as Powles tries to test out the 23-year-old Dutch rider.
Lijkt Lars van der Haart de beste kaartje te hebben, want met de snelste puntsrust in de benen. In normale omstandigheden zal dat zo zijn in een zware wedstrijd. Dat is nog maar een vraag. Maar de rijden zijn elkaar gemaakt. Op dit moment zijn de twee ronden van het einde. Tom is dus op 34 seconden.
Screech of the brakes as they turn right and go past the press centre on their right-hand side. Further on down the course, Korn van Kessel's a little bit shaken after that problem that he had. Next rider in the line is number 13, Rob Peters. It looks to me like he's struggling a little. Keeps stretching his back every time he comes past us here, whether he's a little bit sore. And here's our early leader, Sascha Weber, the German rider, in the green and black, and he now knows how long he can last, having gone full throttle on this Namur course. Jens Adams, 6th in Koksijde, crosses the line that time in 9th place. Kevin Powles, 4th yesterday in Essen, as we see here, number 33, Julian Taramalkats of the Corendon Quadro team, one of the Swiss riders. And that is David van der Poel of the Netherlands crossing the line. Kevin Powles then, as I was mentioning, 4th yesterday in Essen. The race won by Wout van Aert. And Kevin Powles has been choosing his races. He finished 5th in the Flandrian Cross. And of course he won the Milton Keynes round of the World Cup, and he's now leading this one. Can he get back-to-back victories is the big question. He was second in Koksijde, second in Valkenburg. And then in Valkenburg, it was Lars van der Haar who won by 26 seconds that day. So just to update you on a few more places of some riders, because I know some of you like to know the different nationalities and how people are doing. The top place Swiss rider is Marcel Wildhaber, is 7th at 1 minute 12 seconds. Best place French rider is Francis Moret at 11th at 1:51. The best place American rider Jeremy Powers, 17th at 2:48. Jonathan Page is 23rd at 3:11. Ian Field is holding his position in about 33rd place for Great Britain. First place Czech rider, because we're coming up to the Tabor Championships, is Lubomir Petrus, who is 22nd. And the first place Spanish rider is Javier Ruiz de Larrenaga in 19th place. So that will hopefully update you no matter where you are on the different nationalities. And just to reiterate, Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert did not ride this elite level World Cup today. They rode the under-23 World Cup, which was run just before this race, which they are entitled to do. Wout van Aert, the world champion, Mathieu van der Poel, the Dutch champion, and they had another one of their tussles, and Wout van Aert was the rider who came out on top in that tussle between the two of them. Uphill then with Lars van der Haar and Kevin Pauwels, the two leaders of this World Cup. Just looking to see whether Valsleben could come back, but he's dropping back a little bit. He's lost another 3 seconds in half a lap. He's over there on the other side. You just saw him plunging down that descent, but it's a big ask for him to come back. The top 10 right now: Kevin Pauwels, Lars van der Haar, Valsleben of Germany, Musen of Belgium, Corne van Kessel of Netherlands, Rob Peters of Belgium, Marcel Wildhaber of Switzerland, Sascha Weber of Germany in 8th, Jens Adams of Belgium in 9th, Julian Taramarkats of Switzerland is the final rider to make up the top 10 today. But let's not forget that Katarina Nash closed the gap on Marianne Vos in one lap when she was 16 seconds down. So it's still possible for Valsleben to put in a big turn and try and come back, if he can, to these two leaders at the front of this World Cup race. After this, then, we go to Zolder on the 26th of December. Then we have a big break until the 25th of January when we are in Hoggeide. And then we finish with the World Cyclo-Cross Championships in the Czech Republic in Tabor in February. Well, right at the end of January, beginning of February, those World Cyclo-Cross Championships. So we have another 2 rounds of this World Cup to go. Both riders choosing to take a bike this time. Pauwels in the lead, van der Haar in second. Valsleben's not that far behind, is he? Looking at this, but it's 16 seconds, I've been told. But if they mess around like this, then Valsleben will come back to them. 1 lap of racing to go, and Kevin Powles is not impressed with Lars van der Haar at all. And van der Haar, as the younger rider, will just play the game. 7:42 was the lap time, and Valsleben's just lapped in 7:37. The top 3 then: Kevin Powles of Belgium, Lars van der Haar in 2nd place, Philip Valsleben in 3rd. Kevin Powles getting a little bit annoyed with the rider who's on his wheel right now. But to be fair, van der Haar will just say, well, you're going to do the work. You're the World Cup leader, and I'm going to sit here. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. And then van der Haar will try and attack him. But the more these 2 riders mess around like this, the more chance there is of Philip Valsleben, the German rider, coming back to these two riders and outdoing them at the finish. One lap to go. There's Valsleben coming round the corner as Kevin Powles tries to accelerate. Well, if he knew what was going on up here, if he's got anything left in the tank, he'll just try and jump across to them. Big deep breath then by Rob Peters. It's been a tough weekend. Do like his gold shoes though. Off the drop-off as Powles accelerates again. Van der Haar will go with him. Van der Haar will be very happy to go to a sprint. And Powles almost coming to a standstill round that little corner. Valsleben can sense this one, surely, that there's a chance of coming back. Well, if he catches them, just a big attack is all that's needed, because these 2 are going to look round at each other. And Valsleben is getting closer. The German rider, can he do it? Can he come back to these 2 riders before the finish line? As they go riding through, van der Haar shakes his head. They go past the VIP area, which is absolutely huge here. Packed with people. And Valsleben now senses there's a chance. So he puts in a little bit of a turn, and he'll see them right in front of him as they go down towards the pits. They'll turn left now. The 2 leaders then, if you're just joining us for the finish of this World Cup. Kevin Powles, the World Cup leader. Lars van der Haar, the winner of the World Cup last year, as they go down the drop-off. Being chased hard by the German rider, Philip Valsleben, who can't make a mistake. Oh, right over with a foot wide out of the pedals. He can just see them in front of him. Can Valsleben win the World Cup here in Namur? Playing into the hands of the German, of the 2 riders here at the front, as Kevin Powles puts in another big attack over that little rise. Now onto the run section. Powles is the first off his bike. Van der Haar with him all the way. Valsleben is almost there, don't make a mistake. Downhill now. And now he's just got to set himself up and charge and go for it. Try and catch them. Going to be a thrilling run-in. Powles is just measuring his effort. You can see the concentration on Kevin Powles as he looked down then. Van der Haar makes a little bit of a mistake, and he now loses the wheel a little bit. Also, both of them taking their feet out the pedals. Kevin Powles has a slight advantage now on Lars van der Haar, who's making mistake after mistake just at the top section here. But he is tracking him all the time. Valsleben is using this little bit of tempo, being urged on, and they're all over the place on this really muddy, technical, difficult section. And van der Haar makes another little mistake. Little error there by Lars van der Haar, the Dutch rider. Kevin Powles now accelerates out of the section Van der Haar has just normally so technically good is making mistake after mistake as Pauwels now puts the bike onto the shoulder and goes running as Van der Haar goes round that bottom corner. And here, right now, Kevin Pauwels is making the attack without really having to put the hammer down big time. Philip Valsleben going to look for a podium finish. What is it going to be? As Kevin Pauwels then made a little bit of a mistake round that corner, but he still has a slender couple of seconds as the crowd go pretty wild through this area. Pauwels now senses this win. Van der Haar being booed through this area. He does get a lot of stick when he's in Belgium, Lars Van der Haar. I know he says it's part, and he knows it's part of it. The Belgian fans who love their cyclocross urging on Kevin Pauwels. As he goes downhill, it looks like the World Cup leader has the measure of this course. Just that little mistake of Van der Haar on the section. Pauwels made a couple of little mistakes too, but they didn't hold him up quite as much. He didn't lose as much traction as Van der Haar did. Right, onto this section now as he really kicks on. Big acceleration then from Kevin Pauwels. He's opening up the gap now. Van der Haar, who in the middle of the race looked so good. Those big attacks maybe just paying and giving his legs a little bit of hurt now. Kevin Pauwels has daylight between him and the next place rider. Fantastic action yet again in this UCI World Cup cyclocross. Kevin Pauwels now into the pits area, looks around. He hasn't so far finished outside the top two riders in a World Cup race this season. He's going to set himself up for the win. He turns round the corner. He was the winner in Milton Keynes, 2 second places so far this season. Kevin Pauwels wins in Namur. His second win of this World Cup campaign. He takes the victory. Lars Van der Haar in second place, who's absolutely spent. In third place is the German, Philip Valsleben, who finishes there 18 seconds down on the winner. Van der Haar, 9 seconds down. That was a fantastic final lap between those riders, which will mean that Kevin Pauwels will hold on to the standings yet again. In the end, there was the length of the finishing straight between Pauwels and Van der Haar. There we are, there's our winner. Next rider to come in, there he is, Tom Newson. 1 hour, 7 minutes of racing, flat out around this Namur course. Cold, wet, muddy. Korn van Kessel, that little error put paid to his chances of winning. I think he's a little bit bashed up. Well, this rider did well. Marcel Wildhaber, who was on the attack at the beginning, and he holds on. He's 6th place today, 1:45 down. Next to cross the line will be Rob Peters in 7th place. Rob Peters 2 minutes and 5 seconds down on the fast-moving Belgian. Jens Adams in 8th place. And in 9th place in the top 10, Sasha Weber, the early leader of this World Cup. Francis Moray is just going to be out sprinted at the finish for the 10th place. So Julian Taramarkats takes that, Moray takes 11th. Well, of course, we'll bring you an interview and hopefully the podium as quickly as we possibly can. We'll be heading to Zolder for the World Cup on the 26th of December. So if you've celebrated Christmas and then you fancy joining us for a little bit of cycling action, we'll bring you that on the 26th of December. There's riders sprinting in here, of course, for the World Cup points, all important to them. Fabian Canal crosses the line. Also up there is Jeremy Powers crossing the line, I think in 16th place. The first American rider. Jonathan Page is tracking about 21st right now. Ian Field of Great Britain tracking 32nd. Next rider to cross the line there was Jonathan Page. Page was 18th on the day. Well, the World Cup leader has been dominant so far this season. 2 firsts, 2 seconds in 4 races. Sounds like a few riders have had punctures today out on the course. Kevin Powell's then the winner, ahead of Lars van der Haar in 2nd. Philip Valsleben in 3rd, Musen in 4th, Korn van Kessel in 5th, and Marcel Wildhaber in 6th place. That's the makeup of the top 10. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot has also said she had a puncture. There's the rundown of the top 30. We know that Nikki Harris also punctured, but good to hear that her leg is okay after the women's race. And Philip Valsleben will just recover now, and he's on the podium here in this World Cup. And this young rider is going to take a little while to get across, I think, along that muddy section. But they love their cyclocross here. Don't know about you, but I think it's great to see Valsleben on the podium here. There's the standings after Namur. Powell's leads 300 points, Musen second 223, Van Kessel with 218. Van der Haar down in 5th. He said to me he thinks it's going to be tough to win the World Cup after illness and injury, and Powell's right now is looking pretty invincible. But if you look at Valsleben, you know, he's finished 5th so far in the Milton Keynes round. He wasn't in the top 6 in Valkenburg, and he wasn't in the top 6 either in Koksijde, but he's always a rider who's out on the attack. We see trying to lead And now he finally gets on the podium in this World Cup. It's great to see him progressing. And there's Jeremy Powers. All smiles. Still going. It's going to take a little while, but he's going to get there. The Kevin Powles fan club is out in force, but it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. Well, he made it. Now the question is, does he do the drop-off or not? Well, here's some highlights then of what has been a fantastic race. It was the riders at the front, Sascha Weber and the Swiss rider Wildhaber, who set the tempo early. Tom Musen tried to go it alone at one point, being chased down. Then it was the turn of Lars van der Haar to go out and show just how good a cyclocross rider he is. Technically excellent, opening up the advantage on these chasers. Kevin Powles was one of the chasing riders at this point in the race, but looked like van der Haar was going away. Van Kessel made a big mistake, hitting the deck there. And Kevin Powles then decided that it was time to try and close the gap on Lars van der Haar. Took him a little while, didn't it? But he managed to do it as they headed up this run-up. He made the junction to Lars van der Haar. And then they rode together for a while. Powles putting in little digs all the time to just try and get rid of him. Bit of stalemate between the two riders, and it looked like it was going to come down to a sprint, while Valsleben, the German rider, tried to make it across. But at a critical point, van der Haar lost all his traction as he made a little bit of a mistake, and Kevin Powles capitalised totally on that to try and race away to take the victory. Van der Haar never making it back to the wheel of the World Cup leader again. He took the victory, his second one of the series. Well, Namur is always a great place for a cyclocross, isn't it? But let's hear now from
Kevin
the winner
Powles,
of today's race.
Congratulations, your second victory in Namur. Je tweede overwinning in Namen. And you did it on the stroke that you didn't like, the off-camber. Je wint op de schuine kant eigenlijk, daar maak je het verschil.
Ja, ik denk dat ik ervoor een klein gaatje had. Ik had ervoor omgekeken en ik had een klein gaatje en dat lukte toen goed. En dan was het misschien iets minder, dus dan was ik weg.
And just before the off-camber, I felt good and I had a little gap and then I could make the difference and that felt really good. Now you have an advantage of 77 points in GC for the World Cup. That's almost a race because the winner takes 18 points. 77 punten voorsprong, dat is bijna een cross voorsprong, 80 punten voor de winnaar.
Ja, het ziet er nu heel goed uit. Het zijn nog 2 wedstrijden denk ik, dus dat ziet er heel goed uit.
2 races to go, it's looking really good. You can decide the World Cup in the next race in Heusden-Zolder. Is that your goal now? De beslissing in Heusden-Zolder forceren nu, de voorlaatste wedstrijd?
Ja, ik moet gewoon proberen om zo weinig mogelijk punten te verliezen en dan ziet het er goed uit denk ik. Het zijn nog 2 wedstrijden, maar heel goed liggen en dus het ziet er heel goed uit.
And the next 2 races are really made for me and I have to lose as little points as possible. Thanks a lot. Many congratulations. Kevin Powles, dank u wel.
Thank you.
Kevin Powles then 77 points ahead as we go into Zolder. And as Ronald said, the possibility that he could secure the World Cup in the next race. Enjoying a day in the mud. So we're heading to the podium then. Mark Bolan congratulating Kevin Powles. Mark, of course, the speaker of this World Cup and of many Belgian cyclocross races. Well, don't forget to make sure you watch the Zolder round. That could secure the World Cup for Kevin Powles. But the way Van der Haar is going now, he's starting to look better. And of course, it's all setting up for the World Championships in the Czech Republic.
Voilà, terminant à la 3e place avec vos applaudissements pour l'Allemagne, le champion d'Allemagne, Philipp Walsleben.
Philipp Walsleben makes his way now onto the podium. German champion,
Il
German
termine à la
rider from
2e place et lui aussi c'est un champion, le champion des Pays-Bas, Lars van der Haar.
Lars van der Haar then onto the podium in 2nd place.
Et le
He'll feel that's
vainqueur
a
de
bit of
cette
progression
épreuve,
now,
mesdames et messieurs,
back
est
to where he
également
should be.
le leader de la Coupe du Monde, Kevin Powles.
Popular win, that one. Kevin Powles.
Qui reçoit la félicitation de Femke, trophée et fleurs, et le fil Primus, bien entendu, avec les félicitations de Shari. Alors Canalin félicite Lars van der Haar, lui remet aussi un trophée. Et le moment est venu d'écouter la Brabançon. Voilà, sous vos applaudissements et les félicitations vont suivre maintenant de nos invités
Kevin
sur
Powles
le
fan
podium.
club cheering
Je
him
cite
on the
tout d'abord
podium.
Monsieur
He wins
Tondandam,
again,
membre du comité directeur
and
de
he's
l'Union
now
cycliste
a runaway leader
internationale. Il sera
of this
accompagné de
World
Monsieur
Cup. Can he now
Baudouin
capitalise on
Saunier,
it
et
and win
de
it
la ville
as
de
a big
Namur,
Christmas
de
present?
Monsieur
Kevin Powles
Luc
wins here
marketing
in
manager de
Namur.
la firme Soudal, de Monsieur Thierry Maréchal, président de la Fédération cycliste Wallonie-Bruxelles, et de Monsieur Christophe Impens, le manager du sport de la firme Golazzo, qui organise cet événement majeur sur cette
Well, there's our podium today
de la
then.
citadelle
Philipp
de Namur.
Walsleben, the
Mesdames et
German,
messieurs,
Lars van der
pour Kevin
Haar
Powles,
from the Netherlands,
pour
Kevin
Lars van der
Powles, the
Haar et
Belgian
pour
rider,
Philipp Walsleben.
winning with a fantastic move on the final lap. Well, thanks very much to all of you for joining us. From me, Anthony McCrossan, a pleasure talking to you
Et on
again.
dirait
Bye for
que
now.
Kevin Powles a des supporters ici. Hein. Voilà, nous allons immédiatement enchaîner, mesdames et messieurs, par l'hommage au leader de la Coupe du Monde.